Good afternoon. Welcome to the City of Escondido Transportation and Community Safety Commission meeting for July 9, 2026. Welcome. I'd like to start with giving a grand salute to our flag. Let's all stand for that. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. All right. Thank you very much. Let's go ahead and start with a roll call. We'll start with, I already know she's absent, but Commissioner Casabom and Commissioner Cazares and Commissioner Denman and Commissioner Nakamura. Present. Sorry if I mispronounced your name a little bit. Commissioner Hatley here, present. Commissioner Ocampo and Commissioner Peters. Here. And welcome. This is Commissioner Peters' first meeting, and we welcome her. It's also, I believe, Commissioner Ocampo's first meeting, too. So we welcome, thank goodness for them, or we might not have had a quorum today. So very much welcomed. We see there's maybe one or two people in the audience today. I don't know if you're just here to watch or if there's like some public comments or communications that you'd like to say today. Did anyone turn in a paper for?
No.
Okay, great. Okay. All right, then we'll just move right along to the approval of last April 9th, 2026 minutes. Do I hear a motion to approve those minutes? And a second? Motion. We have a second, and let's take a vote.
Can I open the voting?
I need to sustain because I was not part of the committee.
That's fine.
Not quite sure.
Oh, there you go.
Okay.
It should. There you go. And then, yep,
Didn't take.
there we go.
Perfect, thank you.
Okay, it was approved for, oh, wait, sorry.
Okay, great. Looks like those minutes were approved. Then we have several items, actually. We have a packed calendar today, so we'll get right to it. So our first item is item number 2, traffic calming on Gamble Street between El Norte Parkway and Lincoln Parkway. We've visited that issue a few times, and it looks like we're going to get some action taken on that today. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. So, wanted to revisit Gamble Street speeding over the years. We have had this come up to our commission a number of times before, and we took a third look at it and discussed it with the police department as well as the fire department. Could you go to slide 1? As I was saying, we had two previous actions on this. So we are bringing the existing conditions data and the previous actions and then the recommended actions to commission at today's meeting. Second slide. Back in 2014, we had concerns from citizens complaining to us about speeding into the neighborhood, cut through traffic. Gamble Street really is a connector street between El Norte Parkway and Lincoln Parkway. And there are about 100 homes on that with the cul-de-sacs in there. With that said, 100 homes can produce about 1,000 average daily traffic trips because you get 10 trips per dwelling unit. And so over the years, we have taken data collection efforts over there not only with the radar feedback signs that we have installed, but also with the Armadillo that the police department uses to collect the speed and volume data. So back in 2014, we did an engineering evaluation, and we presented several concepts to the community in that neighborhood, like traffic calming with bulb outs, painted bulb outs to narrow the street down. The street width itself was 40 feet wide, or actually a little less than 40 feet wide, so we could actually post it at 25. So we had posted it 25 in entering from El Norte Parkway and also entering from Lincoln Parkway at 25. So it's posted 25 both directions. The alternatives that were presented, the one that was selected by the neighborhood group was radar feedback signs. So we went ahead and installed those back in 2014. And those feedback signs also collect data. So, as they were implemented, we were periodically downloading the data to see what was going on the street. And 2016, we had some more complaints in there. So like I said, we went back and downloaded the data. We reviewed it, and it looked like very normal. The number of cars going through that neighborhood were 900, and average daily traffic per day, which is pretty normal for a neighborhood like that. And then the speeds were between 25 to 32 miles an hour. And, a 7 to 10 mile per hour range is considerable, tolerable by the police department there too. And if somebody was going over that, we found out that, there was 1 or 2 cars going at 2 o'clock in the morning, probably racing across the neighborhood or cutting through it. But, there was somebody doing 55 or 60. So we had that from our data collection back in 2016. Recently, we had more complaints about it in 2026, and we looked at it again. We had the Armadillo put out there. It's an incognito device that we mount on a street light, and it picks up data for speed and volumes. And so we downloaded that information. And again, we saw that the speeds and volumes were very in line within the tolerance range of what we consider normal speeds. Next slide. As you can see, this is the neighborhood of Gamble Street from Lincoln Parkway and connecting up to El Norte Parkway on the north side. You can see how many houses there are down there. There are about more than 100 homes. And we did actually go and observe the neighborhood at 5 o'clock in the evening because there were concerns about, let's make Gamble Street no left turns, close it off, from Lincoln Parkway so nobody cuts through that neighborhood. But staff observed that most of the people turning in to Gamble Street at that time of the day were actually turning right into the driveways on the south side of the neighborhood. So basically, there were residents coming back home from work and turning into their driveways. So if we did restrict the movement in there, we would definitely get a lot of complaints from those people who live down south, because then they would have to go around Ash or Fig and then come back around to their homes down south. So that was one of the things we eliminated from our, we don't want to do that. We're just going to upset the neighborhood. Next slide. So this is the Armadillo data that we downloaded, and it was in the staff report. So if you look at it, you would see that the 85th percentile is 32 miles an hour. The 50th percentile is 27, and the 10 mile per hour pace speed is 22. Now this is the data that was taken October of last year for a whole week. And it's a 5-day data downloaded. I didn't attach all the sheets. There's probably 100 sheets attached to it, but this is the summary of the data. It doesn't show that there is a lot of speeding going on. The maximum speed was,
63.
I think 60, yeah. Don't have my reading glasses on. So we didn't have a whole lot of speeding going on over there from this data that we collected. Next slide. Our police department has been working with another firm called SDK, and they do data collection via cell phones, and it's something similar to another company that does, it's called streetlight data. They pick up all the Bluetooth devices and all the cell phones that are traveling around the city with sensors that pick them up, or just the phones, you know. With that, we looked at the same neighborhood, and we saw that the speeds were 85th percentile, were 31 miles an hour. And next slide, the volumes were 1,100, so within the 9 to 1,200 range that you want to have it to be. We didn't see any deviations that there were massive amounts of traffic cutting through this neighborhood. Next slide. So on observation with the police department, we got a recommendation that they have observed in the morning westbound El Norte Parkway people turning off onto Gamble Street in the morning, and then going on Lincoln Parkway to grab the 78, because most probably El Norte going towards Broadway, the high school traffic backs up, and El Norte and CCP and Broadway and El Norte are a couple of busy intersections in the morning with the school, high school on the north side. So people are probably trying to avoid that in the morning and go down south, grab the highway 78 out of the city. So at this time, we are recommending no left turns in the morning from 6:30 to 9 a.m., the peak hour. We did run speed humps and cushions by the fire department, and they would like us to try this out first to see if it helps the situation in the morning, other than actually putting speed humps that decrease response times, and paramedics don't treat patients while you have speed humps in the city. City of Carlsbad, I hear, was using those a lot, and they're starting to pull back from using it. The police and fire department are the ones that make a decision, not the traffic department. And then if they're okay with it, then the traffic department implements that. So that said, at this time, we are recommending that we put in the no left turn signage on El Norte Parkway, going to restrict the morning turn-ins into Gamble Street. That concludes this presentation.
Thank you very much for that. So that's the only recommendation right now, not the additional traffic calming, like with the lines being painted?
No, I mean, we had presented the bulb outs and signage, the bulb out striping, all that back in 2014, and the neighborhood didn't think it was, because it would take out a lot of parking as well.
Okay. And then one more question for me, and then I'll open it up to the rest of the commissioners if they have questions. Where would you post that no left turn? At what portion or side of the intersection would you put the no left turn sign?
So usually you put a left turn sign on the near and the far side of the intersection, so anybody making a left will be able to see it twice.
Okay. So it would be on the south curb, one right in front
On
of
the
Gamble, and one on the other side of Gamble on the south curb of El Norte
Correct.
Parkway.
Correct.
Okay, all right. Thank you. Okay, commissioners, do you have any
Questions?
questions for staff on this?
Next slide.
I do have a public comment too when you guys are done.
Oh, okay,
It's just a-
great. Fantastic. Then we'll open it up to our public comment then at this time.
If you want to, or we can finish the conversation and then I can call.
Okay, was there any further conversation or on this? Okay, all right. Okay, then we'll go ahead and, please, sir.
And I'm so
Looking forward
sorry.
to-
Is it Brian Evelon? Sorry if I was, sorry if I
Brian
mis.
Evelyn?
Evelyn.
It's a 50-50 name, goes both ways. I live at 450 Pear Tree Place, which is right on the corner of Pear Tree Place and Gamble. So I see the traffic every day. I can't believe that the surveys that you're taking are showing the speeds to be that low. It's just phenomenal. We have drag racing. We have guys passing each other. We have people going 50-plus miles an hour daily on that street. And it's been that way since the first time I came to one of these was 2011. I was part of the group that got speed signs put up for the first time. I was part of the group that got the they read your speed and they tell you to slow down. That part does not work 90% of the time. I believe I've talked to Lieutenant Miller on the phone about this too. In fact, I think you suggested I come back here again. I haven't been here for 8 years because I had a job that didn't allow me that kind of time flexibility. But the neighbors that I talk to, what we'd like to see is a SWAT team, on our street every day until the problem calms down. We know that that's not possible. But we would, as neighbors and friends of each other, we would like to know, is there anything that we can do to assist with that enforcement? Those are our questions.
Well, the data that we collected from the police department's Armadillo doesn't show us the speeds that you're indicating.
Okay.
We've been through that quite a few times. We independently had another company do a review of the speeds over there, the SDK company that we've just recently had contact with. I believe it might be your perception. I mean, if you're living on the corner of the street, if
Sure.
you're not on a cul-de-sac, you won't see the traffic living on a cul-de-sac. If you're on the corner and
I'm at the corner of Gamble and
Exactly,
Petrie.
yeah.
I'm on the street.
So 1,000 cars a day is normal for that street with the number of homes that you have over there. That's how, we make the determination. Every house, standard trip generation rates are 10 trip generations per dwelling unit. So there might be people cutting through. They might be living on the north end of Gamble, but that's the only way they can get home.
It's a shortcut. We get that.
Yeah.
We're not objecting to the people using it as a shortcut. We're objecting to the velocity at which they are
So
doing
I'm gonna
so.
just wait, we can't have a back and forth. Like, you can say your comments and you can answer, but we can't have a back and forth conversation.
Okay. I've said what I need to say.
And
But yeah,
we
if
very
there's
much appreciate.
anything that we can do to help the cops, we're
So-
more than happy to.
Yeah, so as I addressed the commissioners, the speed limits posted 25, and all the data that we have collected over the years has not indicated anything more than the normal tolerance range of 25 to 32 miles an hour.
Okay. Thank you.
And real quick,
Thank
sir,
you,
I
sir,
just
for your
want to add,
comments.
from the police department, we will continue to go out as needed and conduct enforcement and be present as a deterrent to hopefully keep those speeds under control as well.
All right. Commissioners, do you have any further comments or questions? If not, then I'm going to go ahead and ask for a motion to approve the no left turn signage indicating no left turn between 6:30 a.m. and 9 a.m. from westbound El Norte Parkway to southbound Gamble. Do I have a motion? Okay, all right. And a second? Okay, great. Okay, we'll open it up for the vote.
And it was approved 5-0.
All right, great. Okay, thank you very much. Go on to item number 3, new stop locations along Buchanan Street.
Good afternoon, Commissioners and members of the public. My name is Matthew Edgeworth, Associate Traffic Engineer with the City of Escondido. Today, I will be presenting item 3, which is the proposed stop locations along Buchanan Street. So this presentation will begin with an overview of the request, followed by an examination of the 4 proposed side street stop control locations, discussing the relevant conditions and evaluation results at those 4 intersections. And then lastly, we'll conclude with a recommended action for the Commission's consideration. In April of this year, the city received a request from a resident to evaluate stop control measures at the intersection of Buchanan Street and York Avenue due to concerns about reported near-miss incidents. As a result, city staff conducted a traffic engineering evaluation of the intersection. During the review, staff noted that the current intersection, Buchanan Street and York Avenue, currently lacks assigned right-of-way control, which can contribute to driver uncertainty and increase the potential for conflicts between approaching vehicles. Also, during staff's review of the surrounding street network, staff also observed several nearby T intersections where the terminating approach or the minor leg is not currently stop controlled. The project area is within an established neighborhood comprised of single-family homes located north of Mission Avenue and east of Harding Street. Consistent with the residential character of the neighborhood, all local streets within the neighborhood operate under a 25-mile-per-hour prima facie speed limit. The purpose of this evaluation was to determine whether the installation of side street stop control would improve the intersection safety and clarify right-of-way for motorists at those 4 intersections. An aerial image of the neighborhood is shown here for reference. The traffic engineering evaluation focused on the 4 intersections highlighted with the red X. All 4 located along Buchanan Street, with the cross streets being Magnolia Avenue, York Avenue, Pearl Place, and then lastly, Rhonda Place. The first intersection evaluated was Buchanan Street and York Avenue, and this is the request that stemmed from the resident who submitted his concern to the city. So this is a 4-leg intersection that currently operates without any stop control at any of the approaches. As a result, there is no clear assigned right-of-way, which can cause uncertainty for drivers approaching the intersection and also increases the potential for conflicts between vehicles. The California MUTCD, also referred to as the California Manual on Uniform Traffic Control Devices, identifies several conditions that may warrant the installation of side street stop control. And these are listed in the table as criteria A through D. I'll go through each one very briefly. First one being restricted sight distance on the minor street approach, followed by a history of correctable collisions occurring at the intersection within a certain time frame, followed by an intersection between roadways of different functional classifications, for example, a collector street with a local or neighborhood street crossing. And then lastly, the conversion of an existing all-way stop control back to a side street stop control. Based off of staff's evaluation, the intersection of Buchanan Street and York Avenue satisfies criteria A, which relates to restricted sight distance on the minor street approach. Sight distance for motorists on York Avenue is limited by corner conditions, reducing a driver's ability to comfortably observe traffic on Buchanan Street while approaching at normal operating speeds. Installing stop control on the York Avenue approaches would require drivers to stop and assess conflicting traffic before entering into the intersection. This treatment would establish a clear right-of-way assignment at the intersection, reduce driver uncertainty, and lastly, improve overall safety of the intersection. Therefore, staff recommends installing side street stop control on York Avenue at Buchanan Street. The second intersection that was evaluated as part of this study was the intersection of Buchanan Street and Magnolia Avenue. Unlike the previous intersection, which was a 4-leg intersection, Buchanan and Magnolia is a T intersection, also referred to as a 3-leg intersection. Staff conducted a traffic engineering evaluation of the intersection and determined that it meets criteria A of the California MUTCD criteria for side street stop control. Specifically, sight distance for motorists approaching on Buchanan Street onto Magnolia Avenue is restricted by corner conditions near the intersection. These conditions limit a driver's ability to adequately observe traffic traveling on Magnolia Avenue without first stopping on Buchanan Street. Installing stop control on the Buchanan Street approach would require drivers to stop before entering the intersection, allowing them to better assess conflicting traffic movements. Based off of these findings, staff recommends installing side street stop control on the Buchanan Street approach at this intersection. The third intersection is Buchanan Street and Pearl Place. Similar to Buchanan Street and Magnolia Avenue, this location is also a 3-leg or T intersection, with Pearl Place terminating at Buchanan Street. Staff reviewed the existing conditions at the intersection to determine whether side street stop control is warranted here. Based off of staff's evaluation, The intersection satisfies criteria A of the California MUTCD, which addresses situations where restricted sight distance affects a driver's ability to safely observe approaching traffic. At this location, visibility for motorists approaching from the minor lake is limited by nearby corner conditions, making it difficult to clearly view traffic on Buchanan Street before entering the intersection without stopping. Installing stop control on the pure place approach would require motorists to stop at the defined location before entering the intersection, providing a safer opportunity to observe conflicting traffic. Based off of the results of staff's evaluation, staff is recommending the installation of side street stop control on Pier Place at Buchanan Street. The last intersection that was evaluated as part of this effort was Buchanan Street and Rhonda Place. Similar to the previous two intersections, this is also a T intersection or a three-leg intersection. Staff conducted a evaluation of this intersection and determined that it was similar to the previous two intersections and it meets criteria A of the California MUTCD warrants for side street stop control. At this location, motorists approaching from Rhonda Place have restricted visibility due to existing corner conditions, making it more challenging to view traffic traveling on Buchanan Street. Installing stop control on Rhonda Place would provide motorists with a designated stopping point, which they can better assess traffic conditions along Buchanan Street. Based off of these findings, staff recommends installing side street stop control on Rhonda Place at Buchanan Street. The recommended action before the commission this afternoon is to review and approve the staff recommendation for the proposed stop locations and forward a recommendation to the City Council. If the locations are approved, staff will then take the item to City Council to amend the city's schedule of stop locations. This concludes my presentation. Staff is available for any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Edgeworth. Appreciate that. There's any comments or questions from the commissioners? Yes.
I have a question. So the installation of this new stop signs at these intersections, did they have any impact to the sidewalk width where it might affect ADA pathways and things like that?
They won't impact ADA. So if there are ADA curb ramps currently located at the corners, we'll put the limit line and the stop sign just before the curb ramp so it doesn't interfere with the crossing.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments by the commissioners? I want to just say this is long coming. I almost got hit by somebody at Buchanan, New York a few years ago when I used to transverse that neighborhood on a regular basis, and this is excellent. I am very glad that we're putting these stop signs in. It's much needed. Oh. All right, if there's no more comments or questions, we'll go ahead and open it up for a vote. Do I have a motion to approve the 4 intersections being re-signed along Buchanan? Okay, and a second? Okay, all right, let's open it up for the vote.
And it was approved 5-0.
Good. All right. We'll go ahead and move along then to item number 4, proposed striping improvements with the 2026 annual street maintenance program.
Alrighty, good afternoon again, commissioners and members of the public. My name is Matthew Edgeworth, Associate Traffic Engineer with the city. This afternoon, I will be presenting item 4, which is the proposed striping improvements associated with the 2026 street maintenance program. So this presentation will begin with a brief background on the city's annual efforts and their annual street maintenance program, followed by the proposed striping improvements that staff is recommending today. And then lastly, staff will provide a recommended action for commission's consideration. The city of Escondido maintains over 320 centerline miles of roadway. The city performs an annual pavement and rehabilitation and maintenance project to preserve and improve its roadway network. The program itself includes two types of treatments. First one being slurry seal, which is used to extend the pavement life of a street in good condition that has very little distress. And then the other treatment being an asphalt overlay, and those are used for streets more on the poorer side in terms of condition quality, where the city's contractor will essentially mill out a couple inches of the existing pavement surface and then put back the equivalent thickness of new asphalt, essentially making it a new roadway surface. So the program helps maintain the city's pavement condition index, also referred to as the city's PCI, which is used to evaluate the city's overall health and quality of its roadway network. In the city itself, street resurfacing occurs on an 8-year rotating schedule across 8 different zones. So on the map on the right-hand side, we can see the 8 zones. The current zone for the 2026 project is referred to as CS, the Central South Maintenance Zone. So the boundaries of this zone are I-15 to the west, the city limits with the County of San Diego to the east, Felicita Avenue to the south, and then Fifth Avenue to the north. So this area is where our CIP team is focusing their efforts and selecting the streets for this upcoming project. So as part of the annual project each year, the Traffic Engineering Division evaluates each street scheduled for resurfacing in order to identify opportunities for striping improvements. So what we look as staff at are improvements related to traffic safety, roadway operations, implementation of the city's bikeway master plan when feasible, and then ways to improve mobility for pedestrians, cyclists, and motorists. So staff has identified the following 8 streets scheduled for this upcoming resurfacing project and is proposing the following striping improvements for each of these streets. I'll go in greater detail and I'll have cross-sections and exhibits to show, but real briefly going through this list, on Center City Parkway, staff is proposing a new bike lane buffer along with an edge line on the shoulder of the roadway. On Escondido Boulevard, staff is proposing a new marked parking lane with a parking buffer. On Idaho Avenue, staff is proposing new edge lines along the roadway. On Orange Place, staff is proposing new parking T markings to clearly delineate parking spaces along that street. Along Chestnut Street, staff is proposing a modification to the current striping, which I'll talk more into detail in a little bit in order to meet the current California MUTCD standards. At the intersection of 13th Avenue and Tulip Street, staff is proposing a couple of new high visibility crosswalk locations. On Redwood Street, staff is proposing edge lines along the roadway. And then lastly, Quince Street, staff is proposing new marked parking lanes as well as a parking buffer, which I'll go into greater detail. So again, the first street, Center City Parkway, with the limits being between 9th Avenue and 13th Avenue. Due to the posted speed limit along Center City Parkway along this segment being 45 miles per hour, staff recommends adding a 2-foot buffer to the bike lane to improve the separation between vehicles and cyclists. Additionally, staff is proposing a white edge line between the bike lane and the shoulder area to provide clear delineation of the roadway edge for cyclists. Changes between the existing and proposed are highlighted in red. So we can see the 2-foot buffer that is being added, and then in addition to that white edge line along the roadway edge where it drops into the shoulder dirt area. So along Escondido Boulevard, with the limits between 5th Avenue and Felicita Avenue, staff is recommending the installation of a marked parking lane to better define the travel lane and separate it from the parking shoulder. This will help improve visual guidance for drivers along Escondido Boulevard. In addition, given the available roadway width, staff also recommends adding a 3-foot buffer to provide space between parked vehicles and the vehicles traveling within the travel lane. So a parking buffer essentially is also referred to as a door zone buffer, so it allows people to safely exit and get back into their cars. So we can see here existing conditions. We have a 20-foot wide travel and parking lane. So that will be converted into a 13-foot travel lane with an 8-foot parking lane and a 3-foot buffer. So Idaho Avenue between Jupiter Street and the city limits with the county. Staff is recommending installing edge lines along Idaho Avenue to help delineate the edge of the travel lane in both directions. Currently, much of Idaho Avenue, as seen in these photos, lacks curb, gutter, and sidewalk, resulting in poorly defined roadway edges. So the addition of these edge lines will help narrow down the travel lanes and also clearly delineate where those travel lanes are. So Orange Place between 15th Avenue all the way to the cul-de-sac to the south. Staff is recommending the addition of parking tees along the east side of Orange Place. So this stemmed from a concern received by city staff regarding existing parking conditions along there. The concern was that cars were parking too close together where drivers had difficulty getting out of a parking space. So what staff is proposing here is the addition of parking tees in order to clearly delineate those parking spaces. Staff did reach out to the property management, who is to the east of Orange Place, and they are in support of this design. And then this is Orange Place moving south to the cul-de-sac. So again, additional parking tees. And then Chestnut Street between Jupiter Street and Fifth Avenue. So Chestnut was restriped in 2015 in the above picture, actually my apologies, 2014, to include a buffered bike lane and a parking shoulder on the east side of the street. Since then, the striping standards within the California MUTCD have been updated. So with this proposed recommendation, staff wants to bring the striping into compliance with the current standards. The current standards is to mark the second white line as a dashed white line in order to be consistent with the California Vehicle Code. As of currently, vehicles aren't able to transverse over 3 solid white lines. So staff is proposing that modification with the example being the photo 2 on the bottom of this slide. And then for the intersection of 13th Avenue and Tulip Street, so what's great about the street maintenance program as well, it provides the city to upgrade its current standard crossings, which are the 2 parallel lines, to the city's current standard, which is high visibility crossings. So at this specific intersection, we'll be upgrading 2 of the existing crossings, in addition to marking 2 new crossings on the north and west legs of the intersection. So for Redwood Street between 6th Avenue and the alley between 7th and 8th, staff is recommending the installation of edge lines in both directions along Redwood Street at the outer limits of the travel lane. The addition of these white edge lines will enhance lane delineation and provide a traffic calming effect. When you tend to narrow down the lanes, it tends to slow drivers down and create that visual of a narrower roadway. And then the last street that staff is proposing striping improvements with the pavement rehab and maintenance project is Quint Street, with the limits being 5th Avenue all the way to the alley between 8th and 9th Avenue. So we can see here the existing cross-section versus the proposed cross-section. So similar to Escondido Boulevard, staff is proposing the addition of an 8-foot parking lane along with a 2-foot parking buffer. So the recommended action before the commission this afternoon is to request that the Transportation and Community Safety Commission review and approve the proposed striping improvements presented today associated with the 2026 Street Maintenance Program. That concludes my presentation, and staff is available for any questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Edgeworth. Okay, any questions or comments?
Yes, I had one about the 6 to 9 on the Chestnut Juniper Street bid. When you look past that, is there any striping going to go on past that stop sign?
Thank you, Commissioner. I can pull up Google Maps.
Because that seems like there's no parking there, so I was just concerned how that was going to be used.
If I answer, I believe there's just going to be edge line striping there on Chestnut.
Approaching Fifth, is that correct?
Yeah,
Correct, yeah. So this striping
and
doesn't
Sharrows, yeah.
include parking at the moment, so this will be replaced back in kind with the edge lines, the double yellow, and the Sharrow markings.
It's posted 30, yeah?
Yes, correct.
Yeah. So METCD recently reduced the speed limit where you can have Sharrows from 35 to 30. So luckily we are still in compliance with having the Sharrows on the street. Otherwise, we would have to go and see with a new speed survey to see if the Sharrows were feasible to remain or to be removed.
What's the speed limit for?
30.
30 is the cutoff. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, any other comments or questions? Okay, then we'll go ahead and put it to a vote. Personally, I think these are all good ideas and should be implemented. So let's go ahead and is there a motion to approve the 8 striping improvements that are associated with our 2026 street maintenance program? Motion, okay, and a second. All right, let's open it up to the vote.
And it was approved 5-0.
All right. Okay, then we'll just move on to item number 5, traffic striping improvements identified through service requests.
Thank you, Commissioner Hatley. Again, my name is Matthew Edgeworth, Associate Traffic Engineer with the city's Traffic Engineering Division. This afternoon, I will be presenting item 5, which is traffic striping improvements identified through resident service requests. So like the previous presentation, I'll go through just a brief overview and background of what's being proposed, and then I'll go through, similar to the last presentation, each of the streets where we're proposing new striping changes, and then following that, I will provide a recommended action for the Commission's consideration. Each year, the City Council allocates $150,000 annually to the Traffic Infrastructure Project Fund to support the installation and replacement of traffic signs, pavement striping, and other roadway safety improvements throughout the city. A portion of these funds is specifically dedicated towards refreshing worn-out striping in order to help maintain roadway visibility and safe travel conditions. The Traffic Engineering Division, we receive over typically 100 resident service requests, either through the city's app, phone calls, or emails, all related to traffic operations, safety, or mobility concerns from our residents. So what staff does, we review and evaluate each of these requests that come in to the city. And some of these requests, there's a potential for implementing roadway striping enhancements in order to address some of these concerns. So the following projects have been developed in response to the service requests that staff has received. So prior to implementing these striping changes, Staff wanted to bring these forward to the commission for both your review, input, and feedback. So with this project, we have 5 individual locations. So we can see here, first one being the Class 4 facility, also referred to as the two-way cycle track located near and around City Hall, taking place on Broadway and Valley Parkway. So staff will be proposing revised conflict striping along here. Second location, San Pasqual Road bike lane revision. So staff evaluated this and saw that there's a potential to extend the Class 2 bike lane that's currently striped out there, and also make a couple revisions to a right turn lane drop. And the third location is Pete Lane. So the city received a service request regarding speeding along here. So staff will be presenting improvements regarding centerline striping. Fourth location being East 17th Avenue. Staff will be proposing speed reduction markings along here. And then lastly, North Iris Lane, staff will be presenting edge line striping. All 5 of these I'll go into detail with the following slides. So the two-way cycle track, also referred to as the Class 4 facility within the city, was constructed in 2018. Since that time, the California Manual on Uniform Traffic Control Devices, the California METCD, that manual essentially governs pavement markings for bicycle facilities, has been updated since the cycle track was constructed back in 2018. So the existing striping, as you can see on the top 2 photos, involve the use of Sharrow markings. This is no longer consistent with the current California METCD guidance when it comes to conflict striping for a Class 4 two-way facility along a roadway. What is the current standard is shown below regarding conflict striping and the use of green paint. So the following exhibits that I'll be going through show the use of the updated conflict striping at select locations along the cycle track. So the first one being where it connects to the Escondido Creek Trail on Broadway, just south of Woodward. Followed by the 2 driveways into the City Hall parking lots and the Horseshoe pickup and drop-off area on Broadway. And then the 2 City Hall driveways along Valley Parkway. And then the next location being at the signalized pedestrian crossing at Valley Parkway and the Maple Street Plaza. And then to the left on this exhibit, the driveway leading into the California Arts Center. And then the next location is at the signalized intersection of Valley Parkway and Escondido Boulevard, followed by the intersection at Valley Parkway and the Signature Pavilion Shopping Center. And then the last location at the signalized intersection at Center City Parkway and Valley Parkway. The next location is San Pasqual Road. So staff is recommending striping improvements related to the extension of the Class 2 bike facility, as well as revisions to the right turn lane drop. So city staff received the concern regarding the existing lane drop on San Pasqual Road from a community resident. As a result, staff evaluated improvements that we can make to both the lane drop and also the bike lane. So San Pasqual Road itself, the city has a Class 2 bike facility marked out in the city's bikeway master plan. So what staff had identified was essentially extending that Class 2 facility that's consistent with the city's planning documents to extend to the east of Sierra Linda Drive to the city limits. So we can see here, currently that area is a wide kind of shoulder area. So staff did conduct a couple site visits just to ensure that parking wasn't being utilized along that shoulder. From staff's site visits, it was determined that parking was not utilized. So what staff is recommending is turning that wide shoulder area into a Class 2 facility that terminates at the city limits. And then we can see where exactly the city limits are with the County of San Diego. Next one is Pete Lane centerline striping. So staff received a community concern regarding the need for lane striping along Pete Lane to better guide drivers through the corridor's multiple turns and also to help slow down traffic. To remain sensitive to the residential character of the neighborhood, staff is not proposing to stripe a double yellow throughout the whole street, but rather stripe it in 4 strategic locations along Pete Lane. So the first one being just north of, or just south of Ranchito and north of Coral Ridge Glen. And then the second location for the proposed double yellow is just south of Sheridan Glen, followed by the third location, and then the fourth location north and south of Gianelli Lane. The fourth location, as part of this effort, is on East 17th Avenue. So what staff is proposing are speed reduction markings. So staff did receive a concern from a resident, and there was a recent collision that happened near the crest of the curve here along East 17th Avenue. So what staff is proposing here is the implementation of speed reduction markings. So example of these markings that have been used in the city are along South Juniper Street. So that photo on the bottom right is a good example of what staff is proposing to implement on East 17th Avenue. So very similar conditions where you have a hill that's blocking sight distance. So what we're trying to aim for is slowing down traffic as they approach the crest of the curve. And then the last street is North Iris Lane. So staff is proposing the use of edge lines along here. So back in February of this year, staff did receive a concern regarding speeding along North Iris Lane between Center City Parkway and Country Club Lane. So staff did go out there and drive the street. And our recommendation currently is to install edge lines to help slow down traffic and also help delineate the travel lane. There are areas along North Iris Lane where there is a lack of curb, gutter, and sidewalk. So currently drivers don't have that visual kind of border that an edge line would provide. The recommended action before the commission this afternoon is to review, provide input on, and then approve these proposed citywide striping improvements that have stemmed from community service requests. That concludes my presentation, and staff is happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Edgeworth. Are there any questions or comments?
I'm new, so forgive me if I sound as I don't know something, because I don't. When you see on the Juniper striping, that new striping that you're speaking of, what are the indications of the white lines in that distance? The little short white lines that are, what do they indicate, or what is their reasoning for being there? Just curious.
So they're supposed to provide a kind of a visual traffic calming effect. So as you travel across them, you can see here the spacing of them gets closer together. So that's supposed to kind of give a visual guidance for drivers to slow down a bit. So it's kind of a striping tool that is allowed within the California METCD to kind of help slow down drivers.
So what it really does is, it gives you the narrowing effect and some friction on the side that, hey, something is narrowing down for you.
Okay.
So when you have that feeling of narrowing, people tend to slow down, you know. It's out of the highway capacity manual that's used in traffic engineering to add some side friction to the roadway to give you the narrowing effect of traffic calming and slowing down.
Thank you very much.
Yes, go ahead, Mr.
It's another
McNamara.
tool in our toolbox.
So, Ollie, right? So after you implemented this calming striping mechanism like on Juniper, because I do see it there, have you guys put a speed sensor or an analysis to see if it really does work? I'm just curious on that.
Yeah, so when we did that on Juniper, we did a before and after study, and this is a while back. We saw that the speeds were reduced by 5 to 7 miles an hour of people going up on each side of the slope. Kind of like, you know, exactly what we did for Gamble Street 2 earlier as we were discussing it. If you had a chance to look through all the staff reports, you would have seen that before we implemented the radar feedback signs, the maximum speed was 41. I mean, people were driving. Now they're like at 32. So it dropped 9 miles an hour for them. And we checked it on 2 occasions in 2017 and then again last October. They're still around 32, so it does help. Whatever we do to, you know, slow traffic down, it does have effect. All of these are tested through FHWA before they authorize it for, implementation. Because when they do it, you have to actually put in a special letter of permission that you want to test it out. But it's been through that process. So everything that we do now is, you know, already been proven to slow traffic down.
Anyone else? I just wanted to say a comment on, everything here was pretty clear for me, but the one with the San Pasqual Road bike lane revision, I just found that a little confusing. That was just kind of a lot. Some of them I couldn't even really tell which direction. I assume that the south side of the road is Orphelia Winery for the most part in the photos.
Yeah, if we look at the aerial view, you'll get to see what we are trying to fix.
I can kind of walk the commission through. So currently we have this right turn lane drop. So this through travel lane eventually becomes a lane drop as it approaches Sierra Linda Drive. So currently the Class 2 bike facility stops at this point. So this isn't standard when it comes to a cyclist as they're approaching the intersection with Sierra Linda. They essentially have to move across this right lane drop if they want to go through and pass Sierra Linda Drive. So with these exhibits, we have the Class 2 facility. Instead of it terminating, we have it being extended. We have the conflict striping to get cyclists over, so they're on the left side of that lane drop. And then that will allow them to get to the other side of the intersection.
Okay, so you're not eliminating the right turn only onto Sierra Linda. That's staying as just the bike lane routing over toward more of the center of the street, so they're not stuck to the right of people that are making their right turn.
Exactly.
Exactly, so they don't get a right hook. They don't get trapped in there and get into a right hook.
Okay, all right. Okay, I was thinking that this was closer to Orphelia Winery, but this is
Front of the golf course.
the golf course, the
Yeah.
grape,
Yeah.
or the what's the name of that golf course right there? The Vineyard Golf Course. Okay. Okay, all right, so now I understand better now from what we're talking about. That aerial helps, okay. And then it said relocating the right lane must turn right to the next street light.
Yes, that's just a relocation of an existing sign that's currently out there. So I believe this sign needs to be closer to the lane drop. So
Okay.
the proposal is to relocate this existing sign to this street light.
Okay.
And then the standard is to have two right lane must turn right signs. So we'll have one at this street light, and then we'll have one up here as well.
Okay, great, thank you, that's very helpful. I got a good visual on this now. Okay, great. Good, that looks like some good improvements to that area.
Yeah, this is a very old striping concept where they didn't have any idea what they needed to do. And the new standards are make the rider be on the left side of the right turn pocket. So we just transitioning them over.
All right, yeah, I have to say this,
Yeah.
I mean, I've been driving through here, but it is a little bit of what I'd call a hodgepodge. And now it's just kind of making it more fluid and up to date. That's great.
Yeah, this is kind of a funky striping that somebody just figured out in the field whenever it was done.
Okay, great. Are there any other comments or questions? Okay, then we'll go ahead and open it up to the vote to go ahead and approve. How many were there? 4, 6?
5 total.
Five total striping improvements that were reported by the community to improve. We'll go ahead and have a motion for that to approve.
We did already.
Great, in a second.
I'll second.
Great, okay, we'll open it up for the vote. Okay, great. Okay, all right, we'll move on to item number 6. Did I not?
We finally did, yes.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
It's active. Okay, yeah, it's approved 5-0.
Excellent. Okay, then we're moving right along, and we're at number 6, Traffic Management Project List, TMPL, 2627 proposal and updates.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. My name is Ashley Vides, and I'm the Engineer 2 for the Traffic Engineering Division. And this afternoon, I'll be presenting on the Traffic Management Project List proposal for the fiscal year of 2027 and also the TMPL updates. So just a background for the new commissioners. The TMPL is a program with the intent to prioritize and fund traffic management and traffic calming projects throughout the city. We usually collaborate with Escondido Unified School District, Compact, and then also Escondido Police Department when creating this, the scope of the program. And then recently, the TMPL program went from a $50,000 budget to a $200,000 budget, starting with this fiscal year of 2027. So I'll be going through project updates, the new proposal, and then also the staff recommendation. So these projects are the most recently updated or most recently constructed TMPL projects, including LED enhanced signs on Cayam Road, which you'll see on the leftmost portion of the screen. And then Tulip Street also received speed radar signs between, I believe it was 7th and 9th Avenue. And then also Golden Circle Drive has speed radar signs throughout the neighborhood as well, and that'll be the 4 pictures on the right side of the screen. And then these projects are the TMPL projects that were approved in the past that are going to be constructed. This includes finalizing the Tulip Street project, finalizing it with the striping improvements that will be installed hopefully soon. And then also the Orange Glen Elementary improvements, which include a crosswalk and striping, and then also no parking areas. And then Lomas Serenas Drive is also traffic calming, so this will include the speed limit signs and then also pavement markings. And then this is another project, TMPL project to be constructed, which is the Safe Routes to School, and this was high visibility crosswalk improvements for 4 intersections, including Lincoln Avenue and Ash Street, El Norte Parkway and Valley Parkway, Broadway and 4th Avenue, and then 9th Avenue and Valley Parkway. So for the TMPL 26-27 fiscal year project proposal, we wanted to highlight the school prioritization list that the Comprehensive Active Transportation Strategies project listed for us. And then we wanted to focus on the improvements that included the RRFBs, which is rectangular rapid flashing beacons, and these specifically include crosswalk light features. And then also the projects that include high visibility crosswalks with yield lines, and you'll also see in this presentation it's HVC, and then also ADA curb ramps. So when creating the scope of this project, we looked at the CAT school list and we narrowed it down to the locations with RRFB installations, which I believe was 27. And then we narrowed it down to 9 school locations, depending on collision history, pedestrian generators, and also making sure that we have each district represented when we were creating the scope. So these are the school lists and then also locations. And then you'll also see the improvements on the right side of the table as well. So the schools include Classical Academy High School in District 3, Pioneer Elementary School at District 1, Oak Hill Elementary School at District 3, Hidden Valley Middle School at District 2, Miller Elementary School at District 4, Conway Elementary School at District 2, Bernardo Elementary School, District 4, Mission Middle School at District 1, and Felicita Elementary School at District 3. And this slide primarily shows the budget for it. We have locations 1 through 7 included in the base bid, and that equals out to $140,000. And we wanted to have these schools as the base bid per the data. And then also we wanted to keep some money left over for the previous school projects because of construction costs that we weren't aware of initially. And then we have location 8 and location 9 additive alternates depending on available budget. So with the total base bid plus additive alternates, it'll equal out to $190,000. And the recommended action is for commission to approve the traffic management project list fiscal year 26-27, authorizing schools number 1 through 7, school mid-block or intersection improvements be constructed, and 8 and 9 to be constructed with available budget. So thank you, and I'm available for any questions.
All right, thank you, Ms. Bides. I know that was quite a bit for us to take in right there. Is there any certain questions or comments on any one of the projects? Okay. All right. Then we'll go ahead and have a motion for item number 6, traffic management project list of TMPL 26-27 proposal and updates. Do I have a motion to approve? We have a motion. In a second, okay, and we'll go ahead and take a vote.
And it was approved 5-0.
Okay, and then our last item on the agenda, number 7, traffic capital projects.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Ali Shazad, City Traffic Engineer, giving you an overview on our traffic capital projects for the next 5 fiscal years. Next slide. So just to give you a quick presentation background, the city comes up with a 5-year general plan from the gas tax funds and the Transnet funds that we fund our traffic signal and traffic safety projects throughout the city. This is other than the Traffic Safety Commission budget that we have. And just giving an overview of our adopted budget for this year, and going to present you what we are going to do briefly. It's an informational report and just note and file. Next. So our city's preliminary capital improvement program budget for traffic engineering is a few items that we are going to be working on. We have the traffic signal priority list where we go over signals that are prioritized for left turn phasing in the city where we have had high crash rates, and also signals that are required to be installed in the city where there was an all-way stop and it needs a signal at this time. The second item is our local roadway safety program, where it's a requirement by the federal government to have all the systemic issues around the city analyzed based on crashes, and it's data-driven, so basically analyzes where you need safety improvements around the city. And so it is a roadmap basically to figure out what we need to get done to fix around the city, and we update those every 5 years. So we're going to be updating that. The third thing is our comprehensive active transportation strategy. It's called CATS for an acronym, and it takes care of all the mobility items around the city. Actually, I think I'm kind of jumping, giving a detailed, you may want to jump ahead onto the next slides. I already kind of went over this, and okay. So basically the CATS program is a master infrastructure policy for a roadmap for non-motorized infrastructure, where you want to have people walk on the street, do their first and last mile connectivity to a transit center, transit hub that we have, and also fill in the gaps in the sidewalks and improve pedestrian safety around the city. It's part of the Complete Streets protocol that was implemented back in 2008 and in our general plan to be implemented throughout the city. So we have about 1.9 million approved for improvements through fiscal year, end of next fiscal year. So we are embarking on a few consultants to do all the safety improvements around the school areas, to design all the improvements. That way we can have a full PSNE, project specification and estimates, prepared for it, so we can put it out to bid for correction, for construction. Next slide. The last one that we funded is our signal synchronization program. It's the timing and coordination of traffic signals around the city. It's also going to be dovetailed with our transportation master plan, which actually is going to be replacing all the controllers around the city, upgrading those to 2070 controllers from 170E controllers, which are outdated, and also include installing cell modems. Our signal interconnect that used to communicate to each signal base, which was our copper connection, is no longer supported by AT&T. So, planned obsolescence. We are now upgrading everything. Once all of the hardware is in, we will be, at the same time, if we can, implement the new signal timing plans and have all the signals communicate with each other, have their clocks all synced, and that way, if you hit green at an intersection at, say, 35 miles per hour, if that's the posted limit, you would progress through that corridor at that speed and be hitting all green lights, hopefully. You might have noticed it over here when you get out of City Hall, going on Valley Parkway towards the freeway. You get all green lights. That was recently synchronized maybe 5 years ago. Luckily, it's still working well. But yeah, that would be the idea for us to go ahead and do that synchronization program this year. So yeah, if you've had a chance to look at the report, it went over the dollar amounts and the 5-year program outlook. We had a mid-year budget adjustment as well, which funded some items, and that was transferred over into our CIP 5-year program. So we had all these funded for our mid-year project as well. So yeah, we'll be coordinating the signals on Lincoln Parkway between Lincoln Elementary and Lincoln Avenue. So that area that gets clogged up, we'll be doing Bear Valley Parkway on the corridor once the signals are upgraded, and then it goes for all the major arterials around the city as well, like Center City Parkway, 9th Avenue, that corridor, El Norte Parkway, East Valley Parkway all the way from the west side to the east side. So all of these corridors, and then the new corridor is going to be Citricado Parkway from Valley Parkway all the way to Auto Parkway where the hospital is. That just got constructed maybe 4 years ago finally with all the new signals. So it has never been coordinated, so that'll be the first attempt at coordinating that segment. Yeah, so by June of next year, we have a lot of work to be done, and you'll see that all the signals are going to be coordinated, all the hardware is going to be in, all the school zone stuff. So we have a very aggressive plan for the whole year to keep our staff busy. And unfortunately, we're losing one staff member here who's going to be leaving us next week. So we are going to be recruiting. So it's Matt decided to go back to the city of Encinitas. So we'll be losing him, unfortunately. Big loss for us. He's been helping us out a lot for the last 6 months. Other than that, yeah, so basically I included the budget sheets that were approved by council for your review. And next slide. And as I said, this was an informational report, note and file. If any questions, I'm happy to answer those.
Any questions or comments?
I have one. Yes. Ali, you had said that that new controllers were needed to do the synchronization of the traffic lights.
Mm-hmm.
Are those going to be, is that going to be happening? At one point you said by the end of this year, but then by next June. So when are we going to get the new controllers?
So the new controllers are going to be coming in sometime October. Craig has been the project manager on that one, and I believe there'll be like 20 or 30 controllers coming in every week. They'll be burnt in at the yard, new timing installed in them, and then deployed in the field. So with the 140-some controllers that need to be changed out, yeah, it might take 3 months. So starting in October, by the end of December or early January, we may be done with the controller replacement, hopefully.
Any other comments or questions? I'd like to comment that I'm really into synchronizing the signal lights and getting them so traffic can flow more freely. And I just want to continue to promote shorter waits at left turn arrows. When there's a left turn arrow, it's red for you, and you're sitting there, and there's no traffic coming the other direction, and you're sitting there, you can't go because you have a red instead of an uncontrolled green light. You have a controlled light with a red arrow, and you can't make your left. So just want to continue to promote getting those to realize that there's no traffic coming the other way, and that your red arrow can turn green so you can make your left. So.
Yeah, a signal is first come, first serve basis. So the main line gets the major time, and then it times out if you're triggering the left turn. So you may have to wait a bit, but yeah, once we do the signal timing and optimize it, the synchro software that does it, it shortens left turns. So you have to be cognizant of making sure that you stick with the left turns. Because after that, I get a lot of complaints from the police department that people are running the left because
Yeah,
we
yeah, there's-
we shorten them, right?
They're
That's been
running them,
always,
or are they sitting there at the red left turn and there's nobody coming the other way for like a minute? And so they're like, we're tired of sitting here at this red arrow and they're copping their left. I mean,
yeah.
I think it's that. And they're like looking around, there's nobody around, I'm just going, there's nobody coming.
Well, the signals, as they say in themselves, are adaptive. So if they sense a car at the intersection, they will cycle out to turn to that leg to be served, yeah.
All right, okay, thank you, Mr. Ollie.
Hmm.
Okay, then I guess we're to the point where are there any additional staff updates or anything we need to cover?
Craig, if you want to update us on any private development projects, that would be your opportunity.
Sure, thanks, Ali. Commissioners, I'm Craig Williams. I think you know that. Project manager with the Traffic Engineering Group. I wanted to give you an update on a couple of projects that I know that you've heard about for quite some time, and some of them are coming to fruition, and I wanted to share a couple of details with you. I think we all should know that we have been working on actually now 2 signals on Center City Parkway, one of them at the junction where Escondido Boulevard tees into Center City Parkway. We have been designing a full traffic signal there. And then we're also doing a pedestrian-only signal at Brotherton. And that's primarily because we don't have a good way to get pedestrians across at Escondido Boulevard. That Brotherton signal is going to would be push button activated, and it would be synchronized with the other signal. It wouldn't allow pedestrians to start across unless it's in the correct sequence with the signal to the north, which would be Escondido Boulevard, signal to the south, which would be Citricato. The design of those signals is around 95%. We recently submitted those to Caltrans for construction authorization. We should get that authorization within about 2 months. At that time, we'll advertise for construction. We'll go to council and ask for approval to award that and hopefully get started construction early 2027. And I would expect that we'd be totally done by about mid-year, sometime in summer. So it's actually a project that we have been working on, applying for grants for better part of 5-6 years at least, maybe more than that.
More than that,
yeah. The other thing I wanted to give you a little more details on, and Ali had touched on it, was this traffic signal communication implementation. As you know, we had done a traffic signal communication master plan over the last couple of years. As Ali noted, we've got about 100 and a little shy of 180 signals in the city. Probably all but 30 of those, roughly, have older technology. These controllers that are 170s, they were kind of 1970s, 80s technology. We'll be changing all of those out thanks to a grant that we were successful in getting from Caltrans. That grant provides us about 50% of Caltrans money, actually highway safety improvement money, and then the city matches the other 50%. That total project is a little more than $2 million. We're also going to be changing out upgrading some controllers as part of another highway safety improvement project that Matthew was managing. Sorry. And I assume that either Ashley or Ali will be doing that afterwards. That project is looking at signal upgrades at 12 different locations around the city. One of the things I wanted to kind of concentrate on was the fact that, and perhaps some of you have already heard this story, but I know a lot of you are new. So the city built a transportation communication network on a series of city-owned copper wiring through conduits that interconnect most all the signals in the city. But the home runs connect to an AT&T network that then sends that signal to City Hall. As you know, most of the communication providers are moving toward fiber optic now, and they were very clear starting 5+ years ago that they were going to start abandoning that AT&T copper network. So we've been living with that abandonment over the last 5 years, and the connections that we used to have aren't there anymore. So a large part of our communication network that we had 5 years ago is very sparse. So we don't have a good idea of what's happening with our signals. If a signal goes down in Juniper and Felicita, we don't know it. Where we used to know that, we would see that the signal has gone dark on our computers at work in the office. So we're replacing all of those AT&T hubs with cellular modems. That's somewhat of an interim measure because we have a longer-term plan to replace all the connections to all of the signals with fiber optic through a Sci-Fi. It sounds like it's not Sci-Fi, but that's the name of the fiber optic company. The city's been working with them over the last year and a half, 2 years, to kind of provide that ultimate connection. The schedule on that, we went to council in June and got approval to order these 138 signal controllers. There's a fairly long lead time, 4 to 6 months, and as what Ali mentioned, we'll get those in batches, 20 or 30 every month, and then we have a team of folks that have to program each one of those. And then we'll be hiring a traffic engineering firm that will pick those programmed controllers up and then go install them in each of the cabinets. We did it that way, and we could have just hired a contractor to order the equipment and program it and install it, but the advantage to doing it the way we're doing itself is the city is procuring the equipment is that we get to do about twice as much by doing it ourselves and hiring just somebody to install it. We can cover twice as much ground as we would have been able to had we contracted all of it out. As Ali mentioned, we'll probably start installation sometime around September, October. We expect to be complete with that in early 27. And then, as Ali mentioned, the thing that will be going on in a parallel effort is that we have a number of consultants, traffic consultants, that are looking at restoring the signal timing along those 5 corridors. And so once the equipment is getting installed, they'll go out and then reset the timing so that almost immediately following the installation, the signals will go into synchronization. So it's an interesting process, and it's been a challenge to make it all work, but we feel pretty good that it's coming together well. So, any questions on that?
So you mentioned that there's going to be like some cellular modems that are the interim, but
Yes.
so the first step is the
Yes.
interim. We're going to see and then
Yes.
we're going to go to the
Yes.
fiber optic after that.
The good news about that is that it provides a redundancy in case we ever have an issue with the fiber. So it will be our primary means of communication for a year or two, you know. And then it'll just be a redundant system. So if we ever have a problem with the fiber network, we can turn the cell modem back on again.
I like that. So it'll be a backup system then at that point.
Yeah.
Good. Okay. Anybody else?
Any questions? All right.
Thank you, Mr. Williams. I just want to say, Matt, thank you for your time here with the City of Escondido. We're going to miss you, and good luck and with everything back in Encinitas. Okay, and now it's time for us, commissioners, if we have anything we wanted to speak about or report on, anything on your mind?
I got one for Steph. One of our employees of the district have indicated that at the intersection of North Broadway and Village.
Your microphone?
Sorry. One of our employees has a child that goes to North Broadway Elementary School, and there is a street, North Broadway and Village. It's indicated there's no crosswalk there, and it's kind of dangerous when they have to put their foot out and kind of get out there before a car may come around. So if you can take a look at that, I'd greatly appreciate that. And your last report regards the fiber, has the fiber installation been completed, Craig? For the installation for the signal system? Because in some cases during the school, they were cutting through the, by the entrances during the, the drop-off and pickup. So is the fiber installation by Sci-Fi complete throughout the district, especially by the schools, for the drop-off and pickup?
Has that been a problem?
It happened a couple of times last year and early part of this year, where there was a little bit of a conflict with the drop-off and pickup, and no one knew about it.
So they're not doing a great job of notifying you?
No.
Of when they're going to be there? We can talk to them.
Okay, I appreciate that.
We have, the city has some construction oversight of their efforts, and then we control their permits, and we have, we can talk to them about making sure that you're notified.
I greatly appreciate that. The other thing I just want to bring up is in our last meeting, we also had a board meeting, and a resident was concerned about the speed throughout the city of Escondido. So what I did is I contacted several of our school sites on the outer perimeter as well as the interior. As we have the electronic marquees at our site, we've asked them to post the signs, safe speeds, safe schools of that nature, slow down, basically save our kids types of verbiage that was on our marquee. So if you drive around, you may see that on many of our school marquees to inform the community to start looking at their speeds to slow down. So that's all I have. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else? All right. Then we're going to go ahead and we'll say that we need a motion to adjourn. So do I have a motion to adjourn our meeting? And a second? Okay. And voting's not open on that.
Sorry.
We're just adjourned. Okay. We are adjourned.